Hello, in this tutorial we're going to work with function editor and material. So this tutorial on a little bit more intermediate and advanced level for the users in the VUE. We're going to create a shape by using displacement. We're going to work with the color placement, same function driven, and in the end we'll even touch a little bit more with other properties like luminosity. So for example, right here you can see where those kind of overexposure areas. This is where luminosity point will apply it. And actually right here you can see how this luminosity affecting also our crystals. Currently it's kind of in a white area, so this is why they kind of exposure. But if we put this in dark cave, these elements will start producing lights and give it a very nice coloring on all of our crystal. And right here example, we'll start with our basic shape, creating materials, and see how we can apply this to other elements. So let's go ahead and start working on this. So let's go ahead and start experimenting with textures, what we can create. By doing this, we'll begin with creating a simple sphere. Now let's assign the basic flat material to our sphere. Next, I want to modify in Advanced Material Editor. To do this, we can just double time click. And if you're in a basic material, just switch to the Advanced. In this case, we have access to way more properties. And I'm going to just expand here so we can preview. The next what I want to do, it is start modifying some shapes, and this we'll do this by using displacement. And we'll go just to edit graph. So we'll go into function editor. And you notice right here on our right side, we have access to all these properties which we're going to use. And on our left, we have it position and additional information that can provide with our environment. So let's first by creating big shape, and for this one we'll go to use it fractals. We'll go to the simple fractal creating, and in simple fractal we'll go and select from solar parent crystals, so it's work very well for us. Now if we take displacement and connecting to altitude for hours, you can see how it's changed shape, but it's very rough. I want more crystal look. So for this one we'll modify a few properties inside our fractal. One will take roughness and put all the way to the 0. And you can see how we have now pattern, crystal parent approach. So we'll just take gain and pop up maybe to 1.5 around this, a little bit higher. And maybe, take large features and increase to about 20 around that area. So now we have the big chunk of the crystals, but we're missing those small details. To do this, we need to create another simple fractal. Okay, again, we'll go simple fractal. We'll switch to the crystals. But at this point, we'll need smaller. So let's just connect our displacement for now to our simple so we can preview. Same thing, as you notice, we have roughness. I want to take roughness, but not all the way this time. And I will take small features and bring them a little bit down. So you can see we have kind of small teeny tiny crystals going around. Of course, you can play a little bit more around with the gain. If you want to have a little bit more rough areas, we can add a little bit more roughness to them, kind of look mix. But now we want to combine those two together. So for this one, let's just disconnect our node, or go right click and combiner blender. Let's click on a plus, expand our blender, and we'll go displacement now connecting to this output. Okay, first we'll go connect our simple, a big kind of node to our blender, and you can see we still have it. Let's switch to the add mode so we have a little bit more effect on this. And you know what? Let's pop up roughness just a little bit. See, this will add some of this. I don't want to add too much, but just a little bit effect. And larger features. Again, you can go around and play kind of with all. Let's see how it will work as well for you. Okay, next we'll take simple and connecting to our blend mode, and you can see how instantly we have a big and small crystals, so they're nicely blending together. Okay, right here, maybe just a little bit too much. So at this point, we're creating big shape, and we add those teeny tiny details. Now we want to work a little bit with color and alpha. So right here we have our preset one color, but if you notice, it's color map, and we can modify this color map. We can double time click and preload it from what already exists, or we can just right click, edit color map, and that way we can add by ourselves. So right here we can change color. Okay, let's go click on the middle. We'll add new color set. I want to add new keynote, and we'll go with a cyan. Maybe on the bottom, and on the top we'll go with a color and maybe a little bit deeper blue, kind of purplish blue. Okay, as we're doing this, you see they only apply same color because our color does not work with high field. So we need to actually take this and connect to our blender. So now our distribution, and you can see right here, it's kind of work very well with the shape of our object. I notice it's still, I want probably reverse this too. So I want actually on top here, have it a little bit lighter. And as we're going more deep in, I want to actually create darker. So this way, just reverse a little bit coloring. So we have a darker, more closer and brighter inside. Okay, we don't need this too now. We connected our colors, and we're connecting our other elements. But the problem is with this crystal, if we look, it does not really look crystally because we need to add additional properties. One of them, let's go with highlights, and we'll just have it to shiny and bring bright. You can see at this point we have nice shiny elements applied, so it's kind of next. Let's work a little bit with the transparency. So we'll bring transparency to 100%. It's become invisible. To make it pop up as a glass, we need to switch this, and let's put it 1/6 refraction index, so it's more as a diamond crystal. Maybe too much, we can reduce to maybe 1.3 refraction. To add depth to our elements, we want to take fading and bring a little bit up, so it will give this fading dense kind of material look. We still, because transparency is 100%, we lose some of the coloring. We can always go back and just reduce a little bit transparency, so we'll pass color information as well on this. Okay, the next thing is what I want to do. We can do transparency manipulating here, but we also can drive with function. Click on this, so we come inside our editor again. And you can see right here we have our global transparency, which gone with constant right now. We could actually take and as well connecting to our shape. So in this case, our transparency will be affected based on the how depth elements. And right now you can see that our ends is transparent, but it's going more to the middle. It gets less transparent, so more as a crystals. But to control some of this, we need flexibility. So they're all driving from this two fractals. But sometimes maybe I want to increase transparency. For this one, we'll go introduce the filter, and we'll connect this filter between our blender and global transparency. So with the filter now, I can edit and I can set how I want it. So I can, for example, go bring and says, hey, don't have transparency till it's come to the end, or opposite. I can say I want to be more transparent, only except when it comes closer to the end, less transparent right there. And that's probably what we're going to do. I'm going to probably set this way. Okay, let's bring a little bit closer like this. We'll click OK. And you can see as a preview, we have a transparency outside and less transparency where the darker coming. Okay, same, because we connected. Now we cannot modify by slider. We're connecting this through our functions. And murky, same, we can reduce a little bit murkiness now. And you can see how it's add those glass elements, transparency, to some of ours. Okay, let's bring a little bit murky back in. Okay, the other options, we can also add reflections if you want it, or in effects, we can pop up a little bit color reflect metallic. This will just introduce a little bit more coloring pass information if we need it. Okay, at this moment we have the world standard. Let's go click OK. And I want to take my camera, bring a little bit closer to our material. And we'll go to preview this on a screen, see how it will look. Okay, so this is our small preview kind of, and it's look okay, except right here I don't like how the transparency works. So I'm going back to our material, and with the transparency, actually let's go to our function editor. And on this filter, I don't necessarily like how it's going, so we'll go to edit. We actually will go opposite, switch to the smooth kind of, and I want just the end little bit transparency. Okay, maybe just a little bit right there. Just add a little bit right. Okay, so we're done with this. We could increase also bump going from, and the same as the highlights, we can place them on area, but I think it's hold it itself is good. Okay, transparency, displacement, and scattering, so they all look nice at this point. We'll go click OK. And next, let's create some shapes. So, before do this, what I want to do it is take a snapshot of my material. Okay, next I want to create more kind of shape to create interesting composition. So we'll do this by using meta blobs and different shapes. So right here, example, I can take pyramid. We'll go pyramid, just place down. You can hold it Alt or Option key, left click on pyramid and drag, and this you can see it's duplicating our pyramid. So now I'm going just to make a different shapes and repositioning and repositioning more. This is kind of freestyle. You can play around, see which one you like it. Let's take our main camera, move it out. Somewhat abstract figure. Next, we'll take all of this pyramid, select all of them, and click to create meta blob. You'll notice how it's changed this interesting shape. Now, as meta blob selected, we'll open material editor and just double time click on our material. So we'll apply this to our element. So now we actually introduce even more complex shape to our material with displacement. We can take this sphere, move it away, or we can just simply hide from render. Take our main camera. Let's bring a little bit closer to our shape of material we created. And to make it more interesting, we'll change modify sunlight. And I'm looking right here for the shadows element, so we have it kind of interesting look. We could bring a little bit behind, and this way we'll make glowing those edges a little bit better. But I think just with the shadowing, just to preview, it will work very well. Okay, let's little bit adjust in the atmosphere editor. Preloaded any currently it's big cameras, and I'm going to reduce my density to about 2-3, opacity, bring details higher, altitude variation. Just create this some nice backdrop for us, and a sky and fog haze. And we in photometric settings, I'm going to pop up aerial perspective all the way, so it's add a little bit haziness, maybe a little bit too much haziness. Let's drop down, because I want to see a little bit clear on the main element. Okay, we'll add a little bit fog, and we can also add glowing intensity to our sun and scattering, so this side become a little bit even more brighter. And add to the decay a little bit yellowish warmer color. It will work very well with the cyan elements that we have at our crystals. Let's go click OK. We'll go on a render. We render 800 by 450 on a final. And let's see our final elements, what we created as a crystals. So I'm going to pause this tutorial and resume when the render is completed. And because we have some transparency and other things, it may take a little bit time to do to render all image. So we'll come back after render completed. Okay, so right here render is done. It took about 16 minutes because some of the transparency. And if we look, you can see we have a nice crystal kind of formation going. We could work a little bit more with some details, and you know what, let's look on a couple other things we can add to this to create even more sci-fi-ish and again power of the function editor. So at this point, let's close it, and we're going back to our material editor. The few things we can look, we look right here, luminosity and other ones, and I want to, for example, track this. So I want to create ends. Right there we have our luminosity. I want these ends be working with our filter, so we'll take and we'll connect our luminosity. Oops, it's a little bit jumpy. Okay, this end of luminosity, want to connect to our filter. So what's happening at this point, it will start glowing those edges. It will start kind of have a nice glowing effect to them. And you can see on the preview it's kind of increasing, so the now crystal become more sci-fi-ish or a fantasy, whatever you want to create. And let's add more depth, I think, to this. Okay, the global luminosity highlights we could control because the global will work fine. We have this one. Let's back to our advanced material, and in effects tab, what I want to do is pop up a little bit ambient and a little bit diffusion, just slightly. So overall the elements will start glowing compared to environment around. So this will enhance a little bit more of those glowing elements. On the displacement we had 4.5. Maybe we'll take, if you want it, you can reduce and make it less spiky kind of going out. And opposite, if you want to create a more rigged kind of, we can pop up even higher values, so you can see in preview it will have it spike a little bit more out on some of this. However, if you increase depth, what I found out, it does create kind of not a very pleasant, sometimes too spiky look. So in this case we want to boost up, let's bring it down to a little bit, we want to boost up our quality and just a little bit apply on a smoothing to reduce some of those grainy noises, just single kind of spikes going out. Okay, let's click OK on this one as well. We'll take our sunlight and bring just a little bit more down. So we'll have a preview on the lighting a little bit better this way. Okay, now maybe even a little bit more. Okay, I think we're good here. Let's render one more time. And you notice right here we have it glowing. So I will go material in a way, temporary disable, remove. So we'll go to ignore and just render with glow because it's what I want to add, some of those luminosity. And again, same, we'll pause. This is maybe will take about 20 something minutes, so it will take a little bit longer because we introduce some luminosity to this. Okay, so right here our render is done, and we can see this luminosity overdone. So it maybe does not necessarily work as expected. But again, right here, these other ones with transparency, you can use it, or with luminosity, which will look a little bit better when we have a darker area. But you can see how you can control with function editor different properties. included the material distributions, shapes, ambient light, luminosity, transparency, and all these properties.